All right, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the special Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild meeting to order. Welcome. My name is Nicolina Vracker, Deputy Corporate Officer for the Legislative Services Department of the City of Nanaimo. Since the Guild members will not be electing your chair and alternate chair until later today in the meeting, I will be presiding over this meeting today in order to ensure that we can get through the agenda that is before you. Before I proceed further, I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are located on the traditional territory of the Nanaimo First Nation. I would also like to note that we have a few members of the Guild who are participating virtually. So I believe with us online is Jackie Casey, Guy or Gregory Siegel, and that is it for the online participants, in addition to all of you who are joining us in person today. So thank you for being with us virtually and here at the City Hall. If at any point of time any members wish to speak to an item, please raise your hand, and I will be maintaining a list of speakers and will let you know when the floor is yours. You would raise your hand on Zoom as well as here in person, just to grab our attention and to make sure that we have you in the queue to speak. If you're here in person with us, just note that we do need to use microphones in order to be audible to each other and to those who are watching online, as this meeting is being live streamed. There is a button at the front of your mic that turns the mic on, and when it's on, you will see a little green light on the podium as well as around the head of the mic. So you will know that your microphone is on and working. I would also just like to remind you that the meeting is a public meeting, so it is being streamed live, and a recording of this meeting will be available for viewing on the city's website as well. Later on, we will be transitioning into an in-camera meeting from which the members of the public will be excluded. The second item on our agenda today is the introduction of the late items. I'm not aware of any late items myself, so just looking to see if any of the Guild members have any additional items that you would like to introduce this time. I don't see any hands, so we will be moving on to item 3, which is the adoption of the agenda. I will ask for one of you to move and to second a motion to adopt the agenda. Thank you. Okay, and all those in favor of the agenda, if I can have you raise your hand if you're in favor. Any opposed? Wonderful, carried unanimously. Item 4 is the adoption of the meeting minutes, and as this is the first meeting of the Guild, there are of course no previous meeting minutes to be adopted, so we will just move along to item 5, which are presentations. 5A is the introduction of the Guild members, and given that this is the first meeting of the Guild, we will do a roundtable of introductions. So we will start perhaps to my right, and if you can take 1 to 2 minutes to introduce yourself briefly to your fellow members and staff, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicolina. My name is Adrienne Mercer-Breen. I am Manager of Culture and Special Events for the City of Nanaimo. I'm also a member of the Guild. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know so well. I've been at the city for just over 2 years, and so my area of culture and events is where the OV falls, and so I'm really happy to be able to support the OV and those that use the OV for all things culture. My background is pretty varied within this community. I have background in music community. I did some volunteering for the Fringe Festival between 2011 and 2016, and I'm also a writer and have had just various writing groups and connection with the writing community over the years. I've lived in Nanaimo for 20 years. Before I worked at the city, I worked at Island Health, and I worked at the regional district before that. And way back before I moved to Nanaimo, I was a community journalist and had lots of connection with the culture community in Victoria and communities up and down the island. So really happy to be part of the Guild and really happy to just move forward with this new structure.
Hi, my name is Wendy Weirn. I am a resident of Nanaimo for the last 37 years. Before you ask, the accent is from Zimbabwe in Africa, which is where I grew up. I am a retired RN and midwife. I've been involved in theatre in the community for as long as I have been in the area. I am a frequent flyer at the OV Centre. I'm currently involved and have been involved with Western Edge for the last couple of seasons, directing, acting, and participating in their programs. But before then as well, I was involved with the OV, so I'm quite familiar with the building and the history. I have a passion for the artists and the theatre community around us. I'm thrilled to be here. I think this is a very, very important guild. My other passion as well, I've got a hobby farm. I love animals. And so I do some fostering for the SPCA of the livestock. And those that don't get adopted, well, they just stay with me. So, you know, if you ever want to do a farm trip, I'm your person to speak to.
I'm Holly Bright. I'm the founder and artistic director of Crimson Coast Dance Society. I have been a performing dance artist since 1986, bless you, and moved here in 92, commuted to Vancouver to do my work, and in 96 brought one of my own shows with my colleagues, and was well received. I began to teach here and have in 98, we formed a society around those activities of presenting. I started to bring more of my friends over. So we put a structure around that with my dance students, some adult dance students I had, called Crimson Coast Dance. And it's a reflection of the beautiful sunset that you get to see as you're moving from Vancouver to Nanaimo. And the color goes from the ocean to the mountains to the sky. So watch for that the next time you cross back and heading west in the evening. Crimson Coast Dance produces contemporary dance as well as cultural dance, and we have really begun to focus on ensuring that we are keeping a space, using our privilege to present the work of underrepresented artists and learning how to decenter a colonizing institutionalism. And dancing less now and really enjoying the presenting and seeing the younglings coming up and doing their remarkable thing.
Hi, so I'm Samantha Letourneau. I've been in Nanaimo for 24 years. Prior to that, I was based in Vancouver, working at the Vancouver East Cultural Centre, which is a beautiful theatre, now 2 theatres. I've worked in both social services and the arts, in the arts as a performer, musician, dancer, thanks to Holly Bright over here supporting me. As well, I've worked as an executive director in social services and literacy. I've managed venues. I like that frequent flyer of the OV. I'm going to borrow that. I've used the OV a lot. Recently was using it for rehearsal space. And just, yeah, really, really happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Friesen. I've been in Nanaimo for 14 years. I'm currently the manager of Long and McQuaid Music, where I've been for 19 years. I came out of Department of Foreign Affairs in the Passport Office to more creative environment back in Calgary, and background is got a master's of business, and I'm obviously into music a fair bit and travel, and my addiction is photography. Thank you.
Hello, Arlene Blundell. I started grade 1 in Northfield School, 1947, I think. So I've been around here for a long time. And I've been involved in theater since in the 1980s in various, I've worked with Wendy and I've worked with Holly. And Holly has won the Excellence in Culture Award for Nanaimo, so she has quite a history in the arts in Nanaimo. And I was very humbled to receive the Honor in Culture Award because of all my involvement with the arts here in Nanaimo. So I am honored to be here, joining all you people, and looking forward to what happens with this art center. I remember when it was a pub, a cowboy pub, a salon, and a church, and then it became a theater. And I think it's a really important piece of the arts in Nanaimo now. And the facility is important that we don't waste it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with it as a group. Thank you.
Thank you. And if we can perhaps now go to Zoom and have the three members on Zoom introduce yourselves as well. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear? Yeah. Okay. Hello again. My name is Guy Segal. I've been on the West Coast since 2006. Most of those years in Nanaimo with the stint in Victoria. And I've been involved in event production, both my own events and helping different groups and bands throughout all these years. I had the privilege and luck to collaborate with Holly and with Samantha over the years, as also some theater groups and performance groups in Victoria, like Atomic Vaudeville. The performing arts are a big passion of mine. I think they are more than ever relevant in the state of the world today, and especially in Nanaimo. I hope to bring my expertise, my ideas, my passion to this board and to the OV. I'm hoping to bring this a sense of urgency to the fact that Nanaimo, especially the downtown core, is struggling with a lot of issues, from homelessness and to just lack of spaces and venues. And I hope that we, as a body that would manage and steer the OV, can represent a change and a model for a better downtown for all of us. I'm really excited.
Thanks, Guy. I think everybody knows me. I'm Jackie Casey. I'm the owner and founder of Spotlight Academy. We've currently been managing the OV for the last year and a half, I think, on behalf of the city. And we've had absolutely no problems. It's run very, very smoothly. And I'm just privileged to be here amongst all of you. My history is, you can tell with a slight accent like Wendy, I'm from England, where I did my theatrical training. I currently work in film. I'm also an Excellence in Culture winner for the city of Nanaimo. And I just found out that I've been nominated for a Canadian Screen Award, which I will find out in May if I'm a finalist for that. So I work in film. I'm working largely with Indigenous actors right now. I won a Leo Award for my work with Indigenous actors 2 years ago, and I'm currently up for another movie that we're doing. I'm working on 2 movies. Now coaching a TikTok star called Noah Beck. I'm working for Hulu and for Hallmark and for Netflix, amongst many others that keep me busy. like I said, my family own a golf course. Most of you know that, out in the near the airport, called Cottonwood. And basically, my story is I couldn't golf worth shit. So I had to do something that would keep me involved in something that I knew how to do. So I turned to Hollywood North and started working as an actor. That was short-lived because of my English accent at the time. Now an English accent is in everything you see in film. Wendy knows because she coached me back in the day when I was struggling with my generic American accent. But now I work as a casting director, and I'm going great guns. I'm representing the island internationally in film. But my big passion is my hometown, which is now Nanaimo, and supporting the actors that work there. And that's the reason why I'm here. And thank you, to the city for voting me to be part of this very, very, very important guild. So, hi, everybody. That's me.
Thank you. And I believe that Mr. Miner is just rejoining the meeting. So we're going to give him just a couple moments to see if he's able to hear us and if he's able to speak to us. Mr. Miner, are you there?
Maybe I could just make an apology to Jackie. I'm sorry, Jackie, I didn't recognize you right away when I mentioned about Holly and her award. I know you got the Excellence in Culture Award too. Well deserved.
Thank you very much, Arlene.
I'll just make a correction. I received the Honor in Culture, which is for the contribution to the community. I think the excellence is reserved for those artists who are from Nanaimo, who've made a name for themselves outside of Nanaimo. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
And just checking once more, Mr. Miner, are you able to hear us? Okay, perhaps at this moment, we're going to redirect to Ms. Osborne, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, who is here with us today to provide introductory remarks as well and introduce members of her team that are supporting the Guild.
Thank you, Nicolina. I would like to welcome everyone to the inaugural meeting of the Performing Arts Guild. This is very exciting to have you all in the room and on screen. My name is Darcy Osborne. I'm Director of the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department. I've been with the city just about 30 years in multiple different positions over the year, gaining lots of different knowledge around the community events and organizations that we have. I really just wanted to focus a little bit in the introduction today on the fact that our city plan, which was adopted in 2022, speaks to the importance and contribution of culture in our community's health and well-being. Section C4, an empowered Nanaimo reconciliation, representation, and inclusion, says this about culture. Culture connects us and defines us as a community. It is about our history, our values, and our beliefs. It evolves over time. Our culture is what makes us unique, distinctive, and vibrant, and is why people love where they live. Creativity, innovation, arts, and culture are the heart of a thriving community. Community events, festivals, tournaments, and gatherings are also represented in our city plan under Section C4. Community events, festivals, tournaments, and gatherings are an essential part of how we celebrate who we are as a city and the people. Celebrating our diversity and showcasing our local cultural resources, artistic talents, and community pride to both residents and visitors through events, festivals, and tournaments and gathering build a higher quality of life, a stronger economy, and a more connected and socially inclusive Nanaimo. Our city plan identified desired outcomes that are directly aligned to the Performing Arts Guild. These outcomes include culture is recognized as a significant contributor to the city's quality of life, and residents of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds can participate, express themselves, and find belonging. Also, an expected outcome or intended outcome would be Nanaimo has excellent cultural places, spaces, and facilities that are welcoming, accessible, vibrant, and memorable. We are very excited to see this guild take shape and strongly believe that each and every one of you selected in this room and on this committee bring a very strong cultural knowledge to this table that will assist us as the City of Nanaimo in supporting and delivering cultural and performing arts programs and services to our community. Of course, we would not expect you to do that alone. We have several staff who are in the room here today to help provide that support. I would like to introduce them, and when I introduce you, if you could raise your hand, that would be helpful so people know who you are. Adrienne Mercer-Breen, who you have met earlier, is our Manager of Culture and Special Events, and she will be a staff and voting member of the Guild. I cannot tell you how much time, effort, and commitment Adrienne has put into the organizing and the creation of bringing this guild together. So I know that she woke up this morning very excited to have everybody arrive here today. Heather Richardson is our administrative coordinator, and Jana Logan is our culture clerk. Both of them will be attending the guild meetings and sharing responsibilities of the clerk support. Dana Battaglia, did I say that right, Dana?
Lasagna, the G is silent.
So no. Dana is also one of our Parks, Recreation, and Culture clerks, and she will be providing support to Heather and Jana. And lastly, to my right is Jamie Brett Sine. Jamie Brett is our culture coordinator. Jamie will be attending the meetings primarily to listen and learn and hear the different information that you are sharing and discussing with hopes that she can support within our community and within our as a staff resource. So again, welcoming you all here tonight. Very excited to actually have the initial inaugural meeting and look forward to all of the work that this table can produce. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Osborne. Mr. Minor, are you able to hear us at this point of time? And are you able to speak into the microphone?
Thumbs up.
Okay. If you would like to say a few words, you can do so now, as long as your mic is working. Otherwise, if you would like us to carry on, we can also do that.
Not working.
Okay, it doesn't seem like we're having good luck with the microphone today on your end, perhaps. Yes, I was going to suggest there are phone-in details in the Outlook invite if you would like to call in and participate via phone as well. So we'll give you a moment to do that while I take a couple moments to introduce members of my team who are here today representing Legislative Services. So we have with us in the corner of the room, Jessica Vanderhoff, who is the Steno coordinator and who is taking care of all our technological needs today and making sure that the meeting runs smoothly. Thank you, Jessica. And we also have on this end of the room, Lindsay Young, who is our Steno and recording secretary for this meeting. As Darcy and Ms. Osborne has mentioned a little bit earlier, the Parks, Rec, and Culture staff will be here regularly with you to support the meetings. So members of the Legislative Services team here are today just temporarily to ensure that the first couple meetings are off to a good start in terms of technology and procedures.
I'm not sure if Mr. Minor is listening to the live stream. You might just want to know that there's a delay from the live stream and what's happening here.
Thank you. Mr. Minor, I've been just given a heads up that if you're listening to the live stream of the meeting, there is a little bit of a delay between the live stream and the actual meeting here. So just so that you're aware that there will be a little bit of a lag, about, I believe, 30 seconds or so. Would you like to introduce yourself at this time? Are you able to do so? Okay, I think we're going to postpone that until maybe a little bit later in the meeting, and we're going to keep moving along to ensure that we address all of the items on the agenda by the meeting end time at 6 o'clock. So the next presentation on the agenda is 5B, Committee Orientation and Meeting Procedures. And I will be providing you with a brief orientation and covering off just some basic meeting procedures today to make sure that we're all starting with a shared understanding and some of this very basic information. There were materials included in your agenda package, such as the Guild's Terms of Reference, the Conflict of Interest Guidelines Policy, and the Code of Conduct Bylaws. So we do ask that you review those materials if you haven't had a chance to do so yet, definitely before the next meeting. And if you do have any questions regarding those materials, please do reach out to staff at any time. We would be happy to answer any questions that you might have or provide any clarifications regarding the content that is before you. And having said that, we are now going to go through this relatively brief presentation. I will say that the topics that we will be covering are outlined on this slide that you're seeing right now. So if you do have any questions as we are moving through the presentation, please do raise your hand and let me know, and we can address those as we go. You don't need to wait till the end of the presentation. So starting off with the terms of reference, which were provided to you, they outline the purpose of the Guild, the membership requirements and appointment terms, and meeting frequency, among other information. So definitely something that you will want to familiarize yourself with. As you already know, the Guild is responsible for overseeing administrative and operational matters for the Old Victoria Arts Centre. As a Guild member, you have a duty to develop recommendations concerning the ongoing maintenance and operational needs of the center, as well as the current and future space-related supports for the performing arts community. You also have a duty to collaborate with the city to prepare maintenance and operating budgets for the center, as well as to oversee day-to-day operations and to oversee the required custodial duties of the center. Each one of you was selected because you have the relevant experience, passion, and desire to positively contribute to the operation of the center and to support the local performing arts community. Your role on this body goes beyond just attending the meetings, of course. You will be providing very valuable advice and participating in a decision-making process concerning the center. Guild members are expected to participate in discussions in the spirit of collaboration, to conduct yourselves in professional and respectful manner, and to declare potential conflicts of interest. Speaking of the conflicts of interest, I would just like to highlight that the community charter, which is provincial legislation that the municipalities are bound by, prohibits members of other bodies, including the members of the Guild, in accordance with Section 93, from using insider information. So what this means is that you're expected to make the decisions that benefit the community free from undue influence. You're not to act or to appear to act in order to gain financial benefit for yourselves, family, friends, or business interests. Whenever you have or a member of your family has a private or personal interest on any particular topic that is being considered, you must not do anything to let that interest influence the decisions at the table. If you do feel that you have either perceived or actual conflict of interest, there is a process that needs to be followed. And that includes, first and foremost, declaring to the chair that you have a conflict of interest, stating the reason for that conflict of interest, followed by leaving the meeting room momentarily while the topic is being discussed, and not participating in any discussion or vote on that subject matter. You are also not to attempt to in any way influence the voting or the discussion before, during, or after the meeting. Once the discussion on the subject matter has concluded, the chair will pause to let you know that you can return back to the meeting room and take your seat back at the table. If you're participating virtually and declaring a conflict of interest, staff will be able to move you to the waiting room temporarily so that you're not taking part in discussions and the voting, and then following the decision or the discussion concluding, you would be once again admitted virtually into the meeting as well. In case you're ever wondering or doubting whether you have a conflict of interest, a good rule of thumb is to ask yourself, would a reasonable person perceive there to be a conflict of interest? And it's always better to be precautious and declare a potential conflict of interest than to stay in the room and potentially put yourself and the Guild in that situation. So just something to keep in mind as we move forward into the future meetings and through the agenda today. Any questions regarding conflict of interest just before we move forward? Okay. I would also like to highlight that we do have a code of conduct bylaw, which was provided in the agenda package, and which includes the foundational principles for how council, committee, and guild members fulfill their roles. The bylaw itself is divided in 4 different parts. Part 1 outlines the scope of the bylaw. Part 2 outlines the foundational principles that were just mentioned, and those principles include integrity, accountability, respect, leadership, and collaboration. Part 3 outlines the behavioral expectations that are connected to those principles, as well as the expectations related to interactions with staff, volunteers, committee members, the public, and the media. It also outlines how information should be handled and collected, the use of social media, conflict of interest, and restrictions on accepting gifts or a personal benefit. And finally, Part 4 outlines the accountability provisions and process for bylaw breaches and the complaint process. The majority of this section does not apply to the committee or the guild members. If there was ever to be a complaint received about a guild member, it would be addressed to mayor and council, and it would be mayor and council that would determine the resolution process. A portion of the Code of Conduct bylaw is the committee member statement. So since this is not a council body, the guild members do not swear an oath, and therefore you would be expected to sign this statement affirming that you will be adhering to the Code of Conduct bylaw provisions. We have today paper copies of the statement on the table in the meeting room. So for those of you who have read through the bylaw and the statement and are ready to sign off on it today, you can do so and provide a copy of the signed statement to the staff in the room. Otherwise, if you need a little bit more time to review the bylaw, to review the statement, you can take the copy with you, and then please, we ask that you just send us a scanned copy with your signature on the form. And we will be asking for this to be completed before the next meeting, as all of the guild members are required to sign on to the statement as a part of serving on this body. This slide outlines the role of the guild members, which among else includes preparing for and attending guild meetings. So we really do appreciate when members do take time to review the meeting agenda, to prepare for the meeting. It allows the meeting to flow much more smoothly, and the members together can make informed decisions when you're meeting in the room. The guild members are also expected to complete any tasks assigned by the guild. So if from time to time there's a particular assignment or a task that's assigned to you, we just appreciate you following up on that in a reasonable amount of time to ensure that the business of the guild can keep moving forward. You are also accountable for all of the actions taken in the name of the guild as part of the body, and for contributing to the direction and work of the guild to the best of your ability. And last but not least, we do expect guild members to adhere to the terms of reference, to the Code of Conduct bylaw, as well as the community charter. This slide outlines the names, positions, and contact information of various Parks, Recreation, and Culture staff who are here with us today in the room as well and have already been introduced to you. The email and the phone number at the bottom of the slide is the information that you would want to retain in case you do need to contact staff in between the meetings. Speaking of the meetings, a little bit later today in the meeting, the Guild will be adopting its key date calendar, which is essentially the annual meeting calendar. Following this, invitations will be sent to you for all of the meetings throughout 2025, so that you have them in your calendar. The Guild is obligated through the terms of reference to meet on a monthly basis for the first 6 months. Following that period, staff are suggesting that the meeting frequency be on a bi-monthly basis. So this is very similar to the other bodies, advisory committees and such that have their meetings at a city hall as well. The notice of meetings must be provided to the public and to the guild members at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting. So you will always be notified well ahead of the meeting time that there is a meeting taking place. And once again, this will be done through the Outlook meeting invites. Any cancellations or changes to the meeting place, date, or time will be also communicated through the Outlook invites as well. If you're unable to attend the meeting, staff really appreciate being notified. So you can do that in a number of ways. You can respond to the Outlook invite by accepting or rejecting the invitation to meet. You can also email staff, or you can give us a call to let us know that you will or will not be able to attend. This really helps us with ensuring that the quorum of 6 members is present in order to hold the formal meeting. Yes?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
I just wondered if Tuesday is firm as a regular meeting date.
Yes, so thank you. Great question. The schedule that we have put together, the draft does include meetings on Tuesday regularly. And this was based on the availability of the room and some other factors that were considered as well. So there are quite a number of meetings that the staff are overseeing. And the space is, of course, limited to a degree. So Tuesday was determined as the ideal date for this group. Yeah, thank you. Just maybe one more note in terms of the meetings. If you're not able to attend a meeting in person, as you can see from some of the members who are attending virtually today, there is the ability to attend virtually via Zoom, and the Zoom details are also included in the meeting invite, as you would have seen with the first Outlook invite that went out to you recently. Regular attendance is encouraged. We do, of course, understand that from time to time, other circumstances may arise and you may not be able to attend every single meeting. We just ask that you attend as regularly as possible. The next few slides will cover a few meeting basics, just some of the information that we thought might be helpful to share with all of the Guild members today. So we're starting off with the agendas, and the agenda preparation process starts or takes approximately 2 weeks. So in preparation for every meeting, staff will be submitting items to the staff liaison to be included on the meeting agenda. The meeting agenda the items for the meeting agenda are due 10 days prior to the Guild meeting. And the meeting agendas are shared with the members of the Guild as well as the public on Thursdays before the Guild meeting. So it's really important that in this short period of time, we process and have all of the information that allows us to prepare the package for the Guild to be able to meet. We do not provide paper copies of the agendas. We do usually have a few paper copies of the orders of business or the front pages of the meeting for reference, but the agendas are distributed and available in an electronic format. You may be tempted from time to time to bring up late items or to raise late items at the meeting. This is, of course, possible. However, we do caution you to use that approach sparingly. The reason being is that when the late items are brought up at the meeting, staff have not had sufficient time to prepare to be able to provide information and to support the informed decision-making process. In addition to that, the Guild members, the rest of the membership, would not have had time to process the information, think about it, and come prepared for the meeting. So really the late items should be reserved just for urgent matters. If there is something that is very time sensitive, for example, such as a grant application maybe, that really needs to be addressed at this point of time versus at the next scheduled meeting. We do also ask that you save your debate for the meetings rather than debate matters over the emails. And the reason for this is that the community charter does prohibit debate to occur outside of the formal meeting. And just please keep in mind, as soon as you have a quorum of members, so 6 members, that constitutes actually a meeting. And in the support of the legislation, in the spirit of transparency, we just want to make sure that the formal meetings are taking place in this room. And there's an opportunity for the meeting to be live streamed and for the members of the public also to be able to observe the meeting. It is also a good idea always to stay away from replying all on the emails. So when you do receive emails from staff, we do just ask you to reply only to staff so that we can limit the number of emails that the members are receiving, but also make sure that the personal information is not shared beyond the necessary boundaries. Any questions regarding agendas? All right, continuing on, we are going to talk a little bit about closed and open meetings. All of the meetings of the Guild are open to the public unless Section 91 or 92 of the Community Charter apply. The Community Charter provides specific reasons under which a meeting can be closed to the public. Those reasons can include things such as personnel matters, security of the municipal property, or the negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages. So there's an entire list that staff will always consult to make sure that the meetings, if they're being closed off to the public, are done properly in accordance with the legislation. Of note, all documents that are provided to the members through open agendas are publicly available as well. So the agenda and the handouts, presentations, etc., that constitute an open meeting are available on www.nanaimo.ca. They're also retained as permanent records, and all of the open meetings will be audio and video recorded. You already are familiar a little bit with the meeting format, as we are already a few items down on our agenda today, but I will just briefly outline some key components that take place at the meeting. So the chair will call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock, provided we do have the quorum. With 11 voting members of the Guild, 6 members are required for quorum. If there is no quorum, the procedure is for the recording secretary to wait for 15 minutes to see if the quorum can be achieved. And the recording secretary will then record the names of those members who are present and absent. And if quorum has not been achieved, they will adjourn until the next scheduled meeting. If you're participating via Zoom, do please ensure that your camera is on. This is how we know that you are present at the meeting, and also you are visible when the voting is taking place. If you ever do need to step away from your device while you're participating virtually, we just ask that you do wave at the chair to grab their attention to indicate that you need to step away. You can then turn off your video. And when you're ready to come back to the meeting, you would turn back on the video and you would once again wave to the chair to ensure that they're aware that you have rejoined the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, as was the case earlier today, the chair will ask you if there are any late items you wish to add. And as mentioned earlier, you do have that opportunity. We just ask you to practice the cautions that we have already covered with you earlier today. Following this, the agenda will be adopted. If any changes were made to the agenda will be adopted as amended with all of the amendments noted in the meeting minutes. On some of your meeting agendas, you will notice that there are presentations. Presentations are made by staff or by individuals who are invited by the Guild through a motion or by the staff liaison. Presentation materials must be received ahead of the meeting date. And the reason for this is that we would like to include them in the agenda package so that all of the Guild members have that information at hand when you're preparing for the meeting. The guild members can ask questions, but shall not enter into a debate with the presenters. So when the presentation has wrapped up, it will be appropriate to thank the presenters for their presentation, and you can seek guidance from the chair if there are any actions that need to be taken, for example, direction provided to staff or a request for a report from staff and similar. Any questions up to this point? All right. We're now going to move on to discussing a little bit of the Robert's Rules of Order. So these are a combination of formal rules and customs that govern the conduct of the meetings. The purpose of the Robert's Rules of Order is to help facilitate the efficient meetings and to protect the rights of the members. In addition to the Robert's Rules of Order, City of Nanaimo has established meeting practices which are formalized through the Council Procedure Bylaw. Which provides a number of provisions regarding providing proper notice of the meeting, order of business, so what items can be placed on the agenda, the voting rules. So, for example, everyone needs to indicate how they're voting by raising their hand. If you don't raise your hand, you're counting as having voted in favor of the motion. So it's really important to be paying attention when the voting is taking place, because if you wish to vote in opposition, you will need to actually raise your hand at that point to indicate that you're voting in opposition. There are also provisions regarding electronic meetings and electronic participation and debate and decorum. And we'll talk a little bit more about debate and decorum in just a few minutes. I would also like to briefly review a little bit of information about motions with you today. So the actions or directives can only be acted on through the motions which are passed by the majority of the guild members. Staff recommendations with options are also provided through the staff reports when those come before you. The main motion is the motion to initiate a process. So one member would put forward a motion on the floor, and then that motion must be seconded by another member. If there is no seconder, the motion fails, and it would not be included in the meeting minutes. It is important to know that the movers and seconders, if you're moving or seconding, it does not mean that you're necessarily in support of the motion. You're simply wanting to ensure that there is an opportunity for the motion to be considered, discussed, debated. And this is why we do not list the movers and the seconders in our meeting minutes. It will simply say it was moved and seconded. That an action was taken. So it's worth making that distinction just in case there's ever a moment when you are unsure whether you should be moving or seconding a motion. Just rest assured that it doesn't actually obligate you to vote one way or the other, and it does not indicate your point of view on that motion. It's just to put it on the floor for discussion by the members. There are also secondary motions, and these ones arise during the discussion of the main motion. So, for example, if the main motion was that the city purchase electric vehicles and that they be blue color, after some discussion, the members may wish to amend the motion to specify that the vehicles should be a purple color. And so that will be done through the amendment motion. In this case, we do follow the LIFO sequence of voting. So what this means is that you would first vote on the amendment motion. And once that amendment is determined, whether it succeeds or fails, you would then vote on the main motion. So if the amendment is successful, you would vote on the main motion as amended. And if the amendment fails, you would just vote on the original main motion. This is a lot of technical details right now that I'm sharing with you, so I would just also like to reassure you that you do not need to memorize any of this information. You will always have the chair and the recording secretary on hand to guide you through these processes. Having said that, I would also just like to highlight that when any motion is under consideration, no other motion shall be received except a motion to amend, refer, table, or postpone the matter. And we'll be chatting a little bit more about those motions in just a moment. All of the votes on the motion will be recorded as carried unanimously or defeated unanimously in the meeting minutes. If there is no unanimity, among the members, then it will be simply noted as carried or defeated. And anyone who was in the opposition of the motion, your name would be recorded in the meeting minutes as a part of the regular protocol that we have for our meeting minutes. So just something to note at this point of time. I would also like to just make a distinguishment between the Guild as a decision-making body and the advisory committees at the city, who do not have the same decision-making powers. So if you're observing or attending an advisory committee meeting, often the recommendations are made, recommendation from the committee to council to take a certain action. As the Guild members, the Guild has decision-making authority in accordance with the terms of reference, of course. So just something else to be mindful of when you're putting forward motions and considering motions in front of you. All right, moving on to commonly used motions. So the approve, endorse, or support motion basically means the Guild agrees with a particular request, recommendation, policy, etc. So a decision is being made to approve or to go along with something. The motion to refer is usually used in order to obtain a little bit more information before the Guild makes its final decision on the matter. So you can, for example, refer matters to staff for a report or for additional information. The motion to postpone is used to stop the debate on a matter until further conditions are satisfied or met. So, for example, you could postpone a matter until a subsequent meeting in order to obtain a bit more information or in order to consider the information before you at a greater depth. In terms of the voting, one important thing to note is that the tie votes means that the motion is defeated. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that if you do not raise your hand, you will be counted as having voted in favor of the motion. If we have an even number of voting members in a meeting and the votes are split half-half, that means that the motion will be defeated. Yes, a question?
And where does tabling a motion fit in?
Yes, thank you. Very good. So tabling the motion means that you would be setting aside that motion for an indefinite period of time. So that is another option that is available to the members. We do have a whole list of motions that may apply to any particular matter. So once again, the chair and the recording secretary will be on hand to guide you through those circumstances if they should arise at any given point of time. Definitely the most common motions are main motions, of course, and the amendments and referrals, but other unique circumstances might come up from time to time. Yes, thank you for asking that question. And just a quick note regarding a common motion pitfall. We do advise that members avoid using negatively worded motions. So an example is provided on the screen of that motion, that the request ABC not be approved. So some of you might be taking a moment to pause right now and sort of really understand what's going on in this case. And that's why we really do recommend that we avoid negatively worded motions and that we just be very direct about what the intent of the motion is. So a better way of wording this motion would be that the request ABC be denied. It is very clear from the outset what is taking place, and no further clarification would be needed in this instance. Any questions in that regard? Okay. So I mentioned a little bit earlier the rules of the quorum, and I would just like to highlight a few of those that are also included in the council procedure bylaw. The remarks that Guild members are making must be confined to the motion itself. So for example, let's say that on the floor right now we had an amendment to the main motion. The remarks would need to be specific to that amendment because that is what is being currently considered by the members. It's only after the amendment is addressed that you would be then returning back to the main motion discussion. We also do ask the guild members to be courteous and to avoid any potential personal attacks. So all of the remarks that are being made at the meeting, the comments that are being provided, should be addressed through the chair. And the proper way to address the chair is Mr. or Madam Chair. And then you would provide your comments, suggestions, questions through the chair, even if you're responding to maybe some comments that were provided by another member. You always need to be waiting to be recognized by the chair in order to speak at a meeting. So the chair will maintain a list of speakers, and when it's your turn to speak, the chair will let you know that you have the floor. So this just ensures that, once again, we have a very orderly and efficiently conducted meeting. In terms of addressing staff at the meeting, a proper way to address the staff would be by their title or by Mr. or Miss, and then the last name of the staff person. We have mentioned meeting minutes a few times already through this presentation, and so I would just like to share with you that the meeting minutes are action-driven and do not include debate or items not pertinent to the decision. So the minutes are not verbatim. They're high-level reflection of the discussion that has taken place and any decisions that were made by the guild members. Since this is not a council meeting, we do include a little bit more detail in the committee or guild meeting minutes, so you will see some of the discussion reflected, but certainly it will not be word for word. So just something to keep in mind. The minutes must be certified as being accurate by the chair and the recording secretary. The draft minutes will be circulated as soon as possible after the meeting, and they will be prepared for adoption at the next meeting. Any questions regarding the meeting minutes? All right, I believe this is the last slide for the orientation, and it has to do with the reporting out. So the chair and the co-chair or the alternate chair are the spokespeople for the guild. They will be elected a little bit later today in the meeting. And the reporting out to the public is done through the chair. In the absence of the chair, it will be, of course, the alternate chair. The formal reporting to council is done through staff liaisons, through the staff report that will be prepared maybe from time to time to provide any necessary information or updates to council. There are other reporting mechanisms, and those, of course, do include the meeting minutes. The minutes of the open meetings are publicly available and distributed. And there will also be a requirement for the guild to provide an annual update to council. So this update will most likely be delivered to council in the fall of every year. And a little bit more information will be provided in that regard later on.
Sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
Does the council, do they get a copy of the minutes individually?
Very good question. So the minutes, yes, will be distributed electronically. Will be available on the City of Nanaimo website. So council members will have access to the meeting minutes. The guild is, of course, different than an advisory committee. So the guild's meeting minutes will not be forwarded to council as part of council meeting agendas, but council members will have access to the copies of the meeting minutes should they wish to review the minutes, and they will, of course, also be able to watch the meeting live, being live streamed, as well as a previous copy of a recorded meeting, which is also available online. Excellent question. Any other questions at this time that come to mind? From anyone that's participating virtually, any questions?
Can I don't know if this is a good time to say this or not, but Bill Miner asked me, it's the only reason that I was on the phone there, to introduce him and to say that he's really happy to be here. He just completed a surgery, just had a surgery today, so he's a little groggy, and but very excited. And thanks, everyone. He's a director, playwright, has been in the theater business for a long time and been around backstage and on the design teams and writing. He's also a member of the Justice Institute. So I'm sure there's more.
Thank you, Ms. Bright, and welcome, Mr. Miner. We can still see you on the screen, so we appreciate you being here with us today, and appreciate you passing on your comments so that they can be shared with the other guild members today. And Ms. Blondell, I believe you have another question, or?
Well, okay. Are these chairs missing members?
Thank you for asking. So yes, few members are participating electronically, and we do have a couple members, I believe, that were not able to be with us here today.
They are actually members of the guild.
Correct, yes.
This table, is this the guild?
Yes, with exception of myself, who is sitting here today very temporarily to just guide you through the first meeting. The remainder of the individuals at the table are guild members. Yes, thank you for that. And
Wondered where the 11 came from.
yes, and in case you are curious who else is represented on the guild, a list of guild members is also available on the guild webpage on the city's website as well. Yes. Any other questions before we move on to the next presentation? All right, not seeing any. We will move on to item 5C, which is a background regarding 25 Victoria Road, Old Victoria Arts Center. And I will be turning it over to my colleague, Ms. Breen, who will be introducing this item.
Thank you very much. I'm absolutely delighted to be here today and to be able to share this background. Many of you have been involved throughout the background I'm about to share, and many of you, while in the community, might not have the background. So just wanting to be able to let everyone know how we got here to sitting around the table at a guild, the first meeting of the guild today. So the Old Victoria Arts Center at 25 Victoria Road is the facility that we are now overseeing and supporting and bringing life to. I'm just looking around to see if there is a clicker. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. So let's see how I do with this. So Darcy, Ms. Osborne mentioned the city plan and our connection to city plan earlier in her introduction. So this piece is so key to the Guild. Establish flexible and innovative cultural facilities that anticipate and enable a wide range of cultural programs and can accommodate a variety of production, exhibition, and performance experiences. So the city's goal in establishing the Guild is to create a model that supports and encourages the culture community and provides a sustainable solution for this facility and its user groups. The next slide on financial contributions, just a bit of background. So in May of 2008, the city of Nanaimo purchased 25 Victoria Road for $460,000 plus closing costs of $11,093 to function as a small rehearsal and performing arts facility. An additional $74,002 for building upgrades was spent at that time. Now, between 2013 and 2024, staff completed several upgrades to the OV Art Center to improve and enhance the facility. These include east face remediation, which occurred in 2013 at a cost of $200,081. New roof in 2015 at a cost of $37,792. Northwest face remediation occurred in 2021 for $472,711. Electrical panels and heating equipment in 2023, $7,450. And boiler replacement in 2023-24, $23,594. So that totals $141,628 to date. There's also front door threshold work pending, as well as in the works currently is new fencing. Those of you familiar with the facility will know that there is the gate that is pulled and needs to be unlocked during performances, and just looking at upgrades to that gate to have it more Just in line with the other gates that you see along the street, there's a wrought iron next door. Right now we have a blue gate there, and we're just looking at something that is, you know, a little nicer and more in line with the facility, as well as providing that extra, you know, that extra security and ease for folks to open and shut when they're there to have their performances. Here we go. Okay. Additionally, in early 2023, I'll just go back. Upon termination of the agreement with the previous society, the city of Nanaimo purchased $34,935 worth of theater operating equipment, such as soundboards and lighting equipment from the society. So, background, in December 2022, which was right around the time that I started in this role and with the city, the OV Arts Center Society provided notice of its intention to terminate its 10-year co-management agreement with the city. The agreement terminated on January 23rd, 2023, and at that time, staff established an interim operating agreement with Spotlight Academy, a regular user of the facility, using the funds previously paid to the previous society as an operating grant. The agreement remains in place, and I see that I did not update this slide. So it was effective until February 23rd, 2025. We were originally scheduled to meet in February. As you know, due to the snowstorm, we did not meet. And Spotlight Academy was happy to extend that agreement to March 23rd. So the agreement is still in effect until March 23rd for that interim operation. With support from the interim operator and the city's allocations team, multiple user groups rehearsed and performed at the OV Arts Center in 2023. So we, as the city, Ms. Osborne and I met with multiple members of the culture community once the previous society announced its termination. And that happened quite organically with members of the community once they had received notification from that previous society, reaching out to the city to find out whether the facility would remain open and what would be happening next. And we felt it was really important to find out what people's lived experience was, and we had direction from council to support the continued operation of that facility and to carry on with an interim agreement and to also work towards a long-term management agreement. So that initial group of folks, and many of you around the table were part of that initial group of folks that did reach out to the city about the OV. We met via Zoom in December 2023, and consensus from that group was that folks wanted the facility to continue operating as an affordable, community-driven space that anyone can rent. We were told that the theater is attractive to users for multiple reasons, including the downtown location, the lighting grids and lights, the sound system, the stage, the proximity to other performance locations, so walkability, and proximity to the downtown, and reasonable cost to book. And all members of that group of individuals representing multiple organizations within the culture community confirmed with us that they would like the space to stay open. They also stressed the need for the space to feel inclusive for all members of the community. So in July and August of 2023, staff held several engagement sessions to gather feedback from OV user groups. Participants expressed gratitude for support from the city. User groups' desire to work together to program and develop the space was a common theme. So we had 2 in-person evening sessions at the OV. 5 people attended those, 1 Zoom session with five people attending, and 1 downtown midweek session at the Nanaimo Museum over the lunch hour, which 1 person attended. So several engagement session participants suggested that the city could create a new board or performing arts guild to run the OV Arts Center. And in 2024, staff recommended the creation of a board or a guild to council, and council approved that recommendation. The Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild members were then chosen by council in late 2024 and formally announced in January 2025. So hopefully that's provided a bit of background. That's a picture there from one of the OV engagement sessions where we had folks share what the facility meant to them and what their thoughts were. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. In general, just wanted to say that throughout this past 2 years and a bit, what's really come clear is that this is a meaningful space to community, and really that what council wanted to see was a community-driven response to the long-term management of the facility.
Thank you, Ms. Breen. Any questions from members who are participating via Zoom? No? Okay, thank you. Any questions from members who are with us in the room? All right. Mr. Siegel, you have a question?
Yes. So what is the current state in terms of management, like staff and management on the ground? Is it with a certain body or people hired by the city, or is it something for this committee to decide, or the actual current right now state, updated state? Thank you.
Through the chair, we're sort of in a middle ground right now. So the guild is the long-term management solution, if you will. So how we will operate moving forward is we will make those decisions operationally and provide that support to the community and to the facility. Now, we do have a hybrid model that continues. So Spotlight Academy is currently still the interim operator until the 23rd. And what Spotlight has been doing is providing a point person, if you will, who will do things like work with our allocations team on the booking of the facility, help organize tech for the facility. Our allocations team at the city allocates many spaces, and what we did is we pulled the OV into that allocations, that bank of facilities, and that will continue. We do have a finance team at the city, and this is a cultural facility that falls under the oversight of culture and special events within the Parks, Recreation, and Culture area, and that will continue. What Spotlight Academy has been doing was they have an interim operating agreement with us, which was always intended to be that bridge and that ability to keep that facility open. And we couldn't have done it without Spotlight Academy because we really did need that person on the ground. We have a fabulous allocations team, but what we didn't have was a person to be able to be there on the opening nights to show the facility if it needed to be shown, to liaise with our facilities team, who we also have. So if there was repairs that need to be done at a facility or issues that need to be brought to their attention, that could be done. So we're right in the middle, and tonight, a little later on the agenda, we're looking at, thank you, we'll be looking at, our future meetings and the different things that we'll want to do with the space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Breen. And Ms. Blundell, you have a question as well?
I was just wondering, what are the major concerns with the facility right now, like with the city council, with the city, or with the Spotlight Academy, or?
Through the chair, so I'll back up a little bit. So this is one of our city facilities that in the past was co-managed from the time that the city purchased the facility. So other co-managed facilities include the Port Theatre, the Nanaimo Art Gallery, the Nanaimo Museum. So they are city facilities, and they have a co-management agreement with us. They are, they have executive directors, or in some cases, general managers, and they are operating out out of a city facility, but they are operating this site. So there was a society that was in a co-management agreement with the city. I believe it was signed in 2019 with the city, and unfortunately in late 2022, they gave notice to the city that they were unable to continue with that co-management agreement. And so that's where we came to the point where decisions had to be made. And knowing that council wanted the facility to remain open, knowing that the community wanted the facility to remain open, but also looking at what was the most sustainable solution for that facility was really what the question at hand was. Did it make sense to go out to another RFP and have another group take over the facility, or did it make sense to look at other options? And the option that council decided was the best option moving forward was to create something that was new and community-based and drew from the community of groups that were using the facility to collaboratively operate it. So that's why the Guild is formed. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Miner, do you have a question as well? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for letting us know. And unless there are any further questions, we will move forward with the agenda just to make sure that we are able to address the remaining items that we have in front of us today. So we're skipping over item 6, which is the reports. We don't have any written reports from staff for today's meeting. And we're now up to item 7, other business. 7A is the draft 2025 key date calendar. And so this calendar was provided to you in the agenda package, and it proposes monthly meetings during the first 6 months in accordance with the terms of reference. The meetings would be held on either first or second Tuesday of each month. And then towards the end of the year, the meeting frequency would change to bi-monthly meeting schedule. Are there any questions regarding the schedule that was provided to the committee members? Okay. In that case, not seeing any questions, I will ask for a mover and a seconder to adopt the proposed 2025 meeting schedule for the Guild.
I'll second.
Thank you. And all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, no opposed, carried unanimously. Thank you. We're moving along to item 7B, selection of chair and alternate chair. So this is the point of the meeting during which the Guild members have the opportunity to elect your chair and alternate chair to preside over the future meetings for the term ending on December 16th, 2026. So the simplest process would be to see if there are any members who are interested in serving as the chair. You would be given a couple minutes to outline why you would be a good fit for this role. And after the members have had an opportunity to indicate their interests and provide remarks, I will then ask for a motion to appoint a member as the chair. At this point of time, is there anyone who is interested in serving as the chair of the Guild? Going once. Don't be shy. I do recognize that we do have at least 1 or 2 Guild members who are also not at this meeting today. So it is possible also to defer this item to the next meeting. But in the interest of having someone to chair the future meetings, just wondering if there is anyone who would be interested in serving as the chair. One more time. Okay, I'm not seeing any takers. I will just also mention that we were hoping to have the Guild members elect the alternate chair. So if there are any of you who are maybe feeling a little bit more courageous in terms of taking on that role, the alternate chair would be basically acting on behalf of the chair when the chair is not available or not able to. Is there anyone who would like to take on that role? And I will also mention that the legislative services staff would meet with the chair and alternate chair to provide a bit of an orientation and training. We do have a beautiful copy of the Robert's Rules of Order as well here with us today. So you would be equipped for the role for sure. So having said that, anyone around this table who would like to take that exciting opportunity on?
I'd be fine.
All right. Mr. Friesen, you have raised your hand. Would you like to provide any remarks before we ask for a mover and a seconder to have you appointed as the alternate chair? And if I can just have you turn your mic on, please. Thank you.
I don't have any prepared remarks. Since coming to Nanaimo, my focus has been in music and performing arts with the company I work with and my outside activities, certainly in the visual arts categories. And I find that Nanaimo needs, or I believe Nanaimo needs more positivity in that the arts brings positive a positive positive experience for both the performers and the audiences.
Thank you, Mr. Friesen, for putting your name forward. Do we have a mover and a seconder to appoint Mr. Friesen as the alternate chair of the Guild?
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? I don't see any opposed, so that is carried unanimously. Congratulations. We are now moving on to item 8 on the agenda, which is a procedural motion. So in order for the Guild to proceed into an in-camera meeting, which would be closed to the public, a procedural motion is required to close the meeting in accordance with Section 90, subsection 1A and N of the Community Charter. Can I please have a mover and a seconder for that? Okay, Ms. Verne and Ms. Breen, thank you. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimously.